All right, let's compare the RovyVon E80, E90, and E30 Pro. These are a bunch of flat style flashlights that RovyVon have just released, in particular the E80 and E90. I've had the E30 Pro for quite some time, but yeah, you might be deciding which one to get. What are the differences? I'll go through beam shots at the end of the video, but I want to discuss some of the main differences, but about the functionality, maybe some of the other small differences as well, like colors, clips, that kind of thing. So let's have a look at the E80 first. Now, the E80 has these auxiliary lights here on the front. So you've got a high CRI LED here, okay? And if we compare the E90, okay, the E90 doesn't have a high CRI light here in the front, okay? So it's basically got two modes, so high and low with the auxiliary light, but you've got three modes, like a low, medium, high on the E80, all 95 CRI, 4000K, so it's definitely warmer if you compare to the E90. You can even sort of tell on the camera already, okay? And if you double press, you've got these red LEDs, which are pretty much the same. 365 nanometer LEDs, also the same. So the main difference is that center LED, and some of you might need a high CRI LED for your work if you're doing inspections, if you need to really have good color reproduction and recognition. I think, yeah, the E80 is going to be a better sort of light for you. Other than that, the auxiliary lights are pretty much identical, okay? Now moving on to the front of the light, you can see here, there's quite a big difference. And the E80 has an SFT40 paired with a smooth reflector, plus it's got a 3-watt, 365 nanometer UV light there on the left. So it's also got a reflector, orange peel reflector, whereas the E90 has got these couple of TIR lenses. It's got a proximity sensor in there as well that you can activate or deactivate. Overall output for the white LEDs is 1800 lumens for the E80, 3500 lumens for the E90. Okay, big difference. It's almost twice, well, it is actually twice the output basically. So, if you're looking for the maximum amount of light, the E90 is the one to go. It also has a more tactical kind of UI. So using this lower switch on the E90 here, if you half press, you get the 3,500 lumen mode. Full press, you get strobe. And this button does the same thing no matter what mode you're in. You might be in this eco mode. It does the same thing by pressing that lower button. Whereas the E80, if you want to activate that 1800 lumen mode, you've got to press and hold the larger switch. And it does take, there's a slight delay, maybe 200-300 millisecond delay before the light turns on. It's barely noticeable. Okay, but it is, it is there, but it doesn't have that responsiveness and that ease of use of that lower switch. The lower switch has been reserved here for other functions. So you've got the UV light there. Okay, the clips are pretty much identical except for the color. So in the E90, RovyVon have just, as you can see, made it match with the body. And yeah, the anodizing is it's quite a grippy kind of anodizing on both. You've also got battery indicators here on the sides there on both lights, recessed switches for the auxiliary LEDs. Okay, so really, if you think about it, if you're someone who needs, a light with a ton of functionality in it, you've got two different UV lights. You've got a floodier and more short range, low powered UV light, still high quality 365 nanometer light. This is a really great option. You've also got a throwy beam here on the E80. Not as much output at 1800 lumens, but still going to be enough for pretty much most uses. I mean, I barely even use the highest mode on most of my flashlights. I use it on medium or high at the most. Both these can maintain the high mode for however long until the battery runs out. So yeah, if you're looking for the light that just produces the most amount of output and you don't mind not having that front UV mode, you know, the E90 is a really good option. Okay, so those are the main differences. Oh, I forgot to mention the switches on the E90 also a little bit different. There's a PVD, physical vapor deposition coating on the E90. I think that's just to blend it into the body a bit more, give it more of a tactical type of look. Okay, so yeah, E80 in short, more as a all-rounder EDC light with a really bright, you know, 1800 lumen tactical style mode. I guess you call it one-step access to the highest mode or turbo. But yeah, I would say the E90 is more proper tactical EDC type of light, just with the UI and the higher output. Now, comparing these to the E30 Pro, the E30 Pro is actually almost identical in functionality to the E90. Okay, but if you look up close, here's some of the differences. You know, you've got the design, which is slightly different. The machining is a little bit different on the E30. You can also get the E90, I believe, in this micro arc oxidation finish. I think it looks better in black. And the clip is different too. You've got a friction clip on the E30 Pro, whereas you've got this screwed on clip here with the E90. And it's also a double-sided clip, so you can clip this onto your hat and use it as a hands-free light. Makeshift headlamp. You can't do that on this light here. You know, at the same time, you can clip both of the lights into your pocket or onto your shirt collar and just use that front-facing light as well when you're walking around. But the output is pretty much the same, 3,500 lumens. You know, looking down the top of the lights, that, you know, it looks pretty much identical. SST40s, two SST40s in there. The switch design is a little different as well on the E90. I think it looks a bit better on the E90. Okay, just with that coating, and it just seems more refined in general. But yeah, those are pretty much the differences between all of these lights. And yeah, we'll run through some beam shots and you'll see them side by side. RovyVon E80 versus E90. So this is the E80, 1800 lumens. You see all the way to the end of that path. I mean, pretty good considering how rainy it is at the moment. And what you saw there was the step down, so 10-second step down. You should step down again soon. And the turbo mode. It's still pretty bright after stepping down. There's also some other modes you can choose from. So this is eco, low, medium, and high. And you can also alternate between high and oops, no you can't, but yeah, basically that's the 1800 lumen mode. Now I'm going to pull out the E90 and test that out. Now that is pretty bright. That's 3,500 lumens. Step down again. 1,800 lumens for the E80 Pro. 1,800 lumens for the E80. And then 3,500 lumens. RovyVon E80 versus E90 versus E30 Pro. So this is the E90 and on the right is the E80. Okay, so comparing them side by side, the throw is pretty similar. That should step down. If we compare them to each other, that's the E90 the E80. Okay, pretty similar throw. The only difference is, you know, you get a ton, way more light with E90 compared to the E80 here. They both do step down eventually, about 10 seconds. Okay, but yeah, the E80 also has a smaller hotspot, 1800 lumens, and you got the 3500 lumens here from E90. Now I'll swap over to the E30 Pro and just compare that with my E90. So I've got the E90 to the left and the E30 Pro to the right. E90, E30 Pro, E90, E30 Pro. They're pretty much identical. I can't tell the difference between either of them, and you know, it's probably because they have pretty much the same setup